Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the ACM NITK Alumni Talks. My name is Sahitya. I'm a third year student at NITK and a member of ACM's NITK chapter. ACM is the world's largest educational and scientific computing society. ACM is the world's largest educational and scientific computing society. It delivers resources that advance computing as a science and a profession. At ACM NITK, we plan and organize a wide range of events that include technical workshops, guest lectures, online events, and various other competitions at NITK throughout the year. We're really happy to have you here with us today. So today, our first speaker is Mr. Vinay Ravi, a mechanical engineering alumnus, not only of NITK but also of Ohio State University. Vinay is the best example of a skilled and talented individual to derive inspiration from. After working for Bajaj Auto for 2 years and graduating from Ohio State as a research associate, he now works as a research engineer and is part of the analysis team at NHK International. Welcome, sir. We're really excited to have you here with us. You're a huge inspiration for all of us here at NITK. So today we'd like to start off with a few questions about your time here at NITK. What is one thing that you say NITK helped you a lot with in preparing for future studies and future job endeavors?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with you all, and thank you everyone who's out there who have joined in to listen to me. So about NITK is a kind of like a transformative experience, and it's really hard to pinpoint one or two things. But one of the biggest things about NITK is it gives you an opportunity to kind of work with really smart and interesting people around you, and kind of try different things and like see what your interests lies in terms of like which field you would like to study or kind of like pursue ahead. It need not be related to your particular branch, but it could be anything in that matter of fact. So it kind of helps you figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and like try to help you take the next step in your career. And the other aspect about NITK is it has a great network. So you have your friends in your class, you have your friends in hostel, you have your friends at different clubs, and like regardless, it need not, you need not even know that particular person. Like wherever you go, there are people from NITK who will if you reach out to them, who will help you and guide you and support you in any way possible. So I would definitely recommend you to use that network very wisely and like very freely.
Do you have any interesting stories about mechanical engineering at NITK that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, mechanical engineering at NITK is like is an interesting place with a lot of weird people around. So one of my, this is pretty embarrassing, but if you guys know Herbert, he's a professor at mechanical. So I was caught drowsing in his class, and he literally made me run around the class to stay awake. But yeah, two things. If you are really, really sleepy and if you have decent attendance, then don't attend class. But regardless, if you're going to class, please pay attention. You will really need to know whatever they're teaching. And it goes a long way to pay attention in class and just not slog it out the last night. That's pretty much it.
I'm pretty sure a lot of students watching could use that advice. What made you interested in pursuing a master's degree? Did research as a path fascinate you?
Sure. So in that aspect, I was kind of like in your final year, everyone's kind of torn between what to do next, whether to take up a job or give GRE and uh, go for higher studies, I was kind of clear in that aspect that I wanted to get in some industry experience before doing my higher studies, because I wanted to try, what's out there in the industry, and like try to understand what the connection is in terms of academia and industry. And at Bajaj, I got a chance to work with a lot of, really intelligent and experienced people out there, and they all had their MTechs, and like people had come in from IITs and ISC and all that.
Mhm.
And some of the technical projects are really kind of in depth, and you really need to know the core principles, and a lot more about the subject than we learned at a bachelor's level. That definitely pushed me in terms of research. It's a fascinating area. uh, it might not be for everyone. It's definitely a lot more. You need to like really dig in and try to find some creative way to be an engineer. And For me, it was more industry focused. It was not like doing some far-fetched research, which is like 15 or 20 years down the lane. Something that is more tangible, and that you could, that could be of an impact immediately. And this opportunity working with, more like PhD students, or like postdocs and like professors, is a great experience, because they really challenge you in terms of like how much knowledge you have and like what you bring to the table. You really need to put in a lot of effort to deliver. That's really interesting, and it also kind of gives you an idea of whether to kind of try out how PhD life is going to be. Because like with PhD, there's going to be a lot of research, and you really need to dig into to find your elements, and like come up with something new, and like pushing the boundaries of the field that you're in. That gives you a good taste of PhD. So you can figure out whether you want to take the PhD track or not. It gives you an idea about that.
Okay. Uh, yeah, like you mentioned, you worked for Bajaj for 2 years directly after graduating from NITK. What do you think was the biggest challenge in starting work directly after your education? And do you feel like there's anything you could have prepared better for in advance?
Sure. About work after college, first thing is, I think most people might enjoy it, and everyone should, if whoever choose to, join the workforce, should go in with a very open mind, and you really need to be patient, because the important aspect is, regardless of how smart you are and how much impact you can have, you're still very new to the company, and it takes time for people to get along with you and really give you responsibilities. And we as young people really feel that, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be the next CEO in like 5 years or something. So take it easy, give it some time, and be patient. Start talking to different people in different groups. Learn the work. It's a great opportunity for you to learn the tricks and trades in the industry. So make the most out of it. Work on interesting projects. And another challenge is, no, this is not really a challenge, but like there's going to be competition everywhere. So don't be complacent. That like if you made it to your workplace, there's still going to be you're going to be having your peers and everyone else who's kind of going to be competing for limited resources in terms of like projects and other stuff. So you still have to be have your A game, be on your A game all the time to kind of carve the career path you want. Be prepared and go with an open mind is what I'd say.
Okay. So after working for Bajaj, you moved to the US for Ohio State and now working at NHK. Did you have any sort of culture shock when you moved to the US? Was it difficult adjusting in such a different environment? And did you find a lot of major differences in the work culture in India, I mean, in the US compared to India?
Sure. So it's a very common question that people have. Moving to the US is definitely a huge change, and I think for us at NITK, we are slightly a little better placed in terms of how much exposure we have to a lot of different kind of people, and it kind of helps us be a little more accepting and stuff. Personally, I did not really feel a culture shock, but definitely, I became more aware of social issues and personal sensitivities over here. It's very different compared to how it is in India, and so you really may have to tone it down or be a little more sensitive with certain things for sure. And college is super fun over here if you move to the US, and there's loads of engagement activities, exploring and kind of just getting that exposure to campus culture is very exciting. And you can maintain a good social life and with friends and classmates and stuff like that. So that's it's a lot of fun, and it's not like we are not prepared for US or something. In terms of differences in work culture, so it depends from place to place and also from team to team. Work culture of a particular industry is also different. But for me personally, one of the biggest changes I felt was India is a little more laid back. So if you have, a 9 to 5 job or things like that, you work from 9 to 5, maybe a little more, but you chill a lot in between. You take breaks and all that stuff. There is over here, it's like if someone's working from 9 to 5, they're really going hard from 9 to 5, and you really need to make the most out of your time at your job, and people respect your personal time out of work life. So there is an opportunity to have great work-life balance. That's kind of like a difference in work culture that I found.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. Do you think your full-time work experience at Bajaj before pursuing your master's was helpful? Did it give you a better understanding of what you were learning and help you in making your goals more concrete?
Yeah, sure. So with regarding this aspect, for me personally, right after undergrad, I was not really sure if I were to do a master's, which field I would do it in. And I really wanted to know how my education, be it undergrad or master's, would be applicable at the industry, because I want to make an impact, how would my work make an impact on the society. For me, it was more of the industry route rather than the research route right after undergrad. So Bajaj definitely gave me a lot of clarity and opportunity to try different things. So as a GT, at least for me, there was a rotation program where we had manufacturing and different, chance to work with different groups. It kind of helped me narrow down, or you could say at least eliminate the things that you don't like, or things that you do like, and kind of gives you a perspective of what the industry looks out for. And in terms of how it adds to an advantage, it definitely does. So any experience you carry before your master's, be it full-time work experience or even part-time work experience in terms of your internships, really matter, because if you are someone who is planning to come to the US and just after your masters get back into the workforce, or even in general like make conversations with at conferences and things like that, they really value what work you have done, internships, what kind of projects you have done, and to even have some sort of a conversation. It's kind of applicable for like across all branches in general, like just to have a conversation about something in recruitment and things like that. It goes a long way. And having some work experience helps a lot in terms of getting internships, in terms of even convincing professors that you can deliver. It also helps you, have that conversation with professors. And masters is not all about like finding your next job or like PhD and things like that. It's you also need to find your research area. Maybe if you're not doing only your coursework based uh, track, helps you find a research area that it helps in that way. And also you'll need like research assistantship and things like that. So if you have work experience, people know that you've delivered at a certain level, and they trust you with responsibility. And it's also easier to get funding at masters and things like that. Yeah, it goes a long way in terms of finding job internships, or just having conversations with people about interesting projects. Yeah, I would definitely recommend people to get that experience in the industry if your end goal is to go to the industry. Have some clarity as to what you want to do, or like at least what not to do, and yeah, follow your dreams.
Okay. Lastly, you have such an awe-inspiring career, but no journey is without hardships or difficulties. How do you usually tackle challenges that you face? And is there any particular incident or challenge that you want to share with us?
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the kind words. But yeah, definitely there are going to be challenges along the way. It could be at any level. It could it's a personal journey. Different people have different challenges at different stages in life. It could be in undergrad or after undergrad or any time. So one of the thing is you really need to have the self confidence and like kind of believe in yourself. It takes time to get to where you need to be or where you see yourself. So give yourself the time and put in the effort to kind of go out there and really grab what you want. And there are a lot of times you tend to surround yourself with really smart and interesting people. There are a lot of times where you may feel you're out of place, or you start questioning, oh, why am I doing this, or what is there for me, and like you kind of feel like maybe this is out of your league or things like that. So it's kind of important to understand the situation and like really not feel paralyzed by it, but rather than question your ability, it's more about how you should analyze the situation and really understand what you need to know more, or like in terms of knowledge, what you need to gain more to kind of overcome that particular challenge. And one very important aspect is advice that I would give is you have you need to speak to people, and there are a lot of experienced people out there It could be your friends. It could be some seniors of yours. It could be your family members. Seek advice and help whenever you feel you need it. Uh, don't be late in terms of that. This thing, definitely, get all the guidance you can from people around you. It goes a long way, and be ready to accept failure. Kind of process the whole thing and learn from it. And you should, if you really feel like that is what you want, you should try harder, and that's your dream, right? You don't just give up. So world's your oyster. But on the bright side, it is kind of good to find yourself in such situations, because that means that you've pushed your boundary of comfort, and it's a great opportunity to learn and grow, right? It's really important to look at the positives, and hardships will come and go. Just look at the bigger picture and keep chugging along.
Okay. I think that's all the time we have for these questions. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences with us and answering our questions. Now we move on to our Q&A session, where we'll ask our speakers a few questions taken from our audience that are watching this. Our viewers can put up any questions they have for Vinay in the chat box. Okay, we've gotten one question from the audience. What do you think is the future of mechanical engineering, and what skills must we gain to be future ready?
Oh, that's a great question. So in terms of mechanical engineering, what's in it for the future? I would definitely say, y'all should look into integration of different branches, like electronics, computer science, and mechanical engineering as a whole. So mechanical engineering has grown out of the CAD room and like all the mechanical, just the moving parts and dynamics and things like that. It's a lot more simulation oriented. So learn. So mechatronics is a huge field, and it's pretty hot in terms of industry and research applications. Systems engineering and controls. It's really important for all of us to get a grasp of it. Try to work on projects like that. I don't know if coding has been emphasized enough in the curriculum at ME in college now. At least it was not for during our time. So learn a couple of languages. At least MATLAB is kind of like a must. So work yourself through MATLAB. Learn how do we use MATLAB, and do some mathematical modeling with it. Also, it helps to learn some C++ or Python and other stuff, so that there's going to be a lot of hardware and software integration in the future, and there is a lot of it right now. So I would definitely recommend you all to look into those aspects. There's going to be a lot of computer science and electronics involved with mechanical as well.
Okay, we've gotten another question. How useful are clubs like BAHA and FSAE for automotive enthusiasts after graduating and while working?
It definitely is very beneficial to be in such clubs or even in those environments, because at the end of the day, it's a project that you're working on, and it gives you a lot of experience in terms of building a car, getting to know about how different systems in a car work, or it could be an ATV, it could be a race car. In general, automotive systems and different subgroups and things like that. It goes a long way, but I was not part of FSAE or BAHA. But I still worked on a lot of different projects, which kind of gave me an understanding and experience in those lines. So don't make it and don't think that if you're not an FSE or Baha, it's going to be hard to get into make it in the automotive world. So just work on whatever projects you like. Find a group and there are always people interested in working projects. So make a group, work on projects, learn whatever you need to learn, and don't let anything stop you from kind of chasing your dreams.
Okay, I think we have time for one last audience question. Yeah. How is the situation with material sciences in the industry right now?
Material sciences, you said?
Yeah, material sciences.
Yeah, there is a lot of emphasis on material science, especially in terms of process engineering and like with mechanic. There's also manufacturing engineering in the mechanical sector is a huge booming area. So there's a lot of cross-functional research and things like that with material science in terms of what kind of materials you use for which is more manufacturable and like different manufacturing processes. Not only that, also in the semiconductor industry and consumer electronics with lightweighting and very high class and like world class materials in like in your iPhone and things like that with different screens, glass. Material science and having the knowledge of material science goes a long way. And there is huge potential for material science, intersection of material science and mechanical engineering in research and industry form.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable input and for your taking out time from your day to join us today. I'm sure it's really informed and inspired our audience who tuned in today. We wish you the best for your future endeavors.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks a lot, everyone, for joining today. Have a great time at NITK. I wish you all great success and, y'all are here. You can go get whatever you want and make it in life. So good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we'll move on to Nivedya, who will continue with our next speaker in 2 minutes.
Sweet. If I'm still here, is this still live?
Yes, sir. You can leave if you are.
Yeah. So for whoever's online, if you all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or like I think Yash and others have my email ID. I'd be available for for any kind of support, or if you need any guidance, or if you have more questions, shoot it out and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, so our next speaker will be joining in 2 more minutes. Okay, till then, good evening, everyone. I'm Nivedya. I'm a third year student from NITK, and I'll be your host for the rest of the evening. So, our next speaker for today is Mr. Siddharth Chaturvedi. Graduated from NITK in 2014, he has then gone on to be an alumnus of North Carolina State, having worked at Pure Fishing and GK and Driveline, and currently working as an advanced manufacturing engineer in one of the most renowned companies in the world, Apple. Siddharth's journey is one from which we can all be very inspired. Hello, sir. Welcome to ACM NITK's Alumni Talks.
Hello, everyone.
We're really excited to have you here today. So your journey is one that has inspired a lot of us here at NITK. We'd like to start off by asking you some questions about your experiences here. So any particular fond memory from your college days at NITK that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, everything at NITK was awesome, I would say. It was probably the best 4 years that anyone can hope for. if I had to pinpoint a specific event or something that happened, that would be really hard. But maybe from an academic front, I can go back to second year engineer. I think me and a buddy of mine were preparing for a robotics competition at engineer on the second day, I believe. And we were trying to build a robot which is trying to do multiple sets of tasks. We were trying to pick up some cans from somewhere and dump some sand and stuff like that. I don't remember the specifics of the event, but at about 2 o'clock at night, the two of us figured out that our motor control circuit for some reason was not functioning, and basically we had lost the heart of the robot. That we had burnt it successfully. Obviously we weren't skilled enough to figure out what to replace on our circuit, and at about 3:30 at night we start roaming around different blocks looking for that tiny little chip. It's called an L298D, and everyone's wondering, like, why is this two random people just roaming around blocks and asking for people to give them a chip. It's kind of weird, right? It's at 3:30 at night, and then we end up in the mega towers. Never ventured out there, and there's this one senior we knew who was, I think, from CSI, and he sheepishly opens his door up, and he's like, "What do you want?" And Tejas, my buddy, goes like, "Hey, do you have this L298D?" And he looks at us like he's aghast. He's like, "What's wrong with these kids?" And then he just goes, opens his drawer, and he just picks out the chip, and he's like, "Hey, here you go," and just lets us go. So that was really cool. Like, people were really helpful, and it was a really nice time.
That sounds like a really nice story. So, what drew you to the idea of pursuing masters, and like, what was the criteria you looked at while choosing the universities, like while choosing which university to apply for?
From the get-go, I was pretty clear that I was going to pursue a graduate education in mechatronics. I've always been interested in robotics since school. So I was pretty clear, and since second year, I was preparing for it in terms of doing my research and trying to figure out which colleges I would apply for and why, like trying to answer the question to why. Mm, the only point of contention in my head at that point was, is it going to be right after my undergrad, or am I going to take a couple of years of work experience with me? Since you're in from a core field, people generally expect you to take up a gig before you go ahead and pursue your master's. I think that was the only point of contention, but I did decide to go right after the undergrad because I was interested in machine design. And from what I had seen, everyone in the industry, especially when we graduate from like big schools in India, we would go into more of a managerial aspect of things. And I did want to make machinery. So that really drew me to going for grad school and down selecting on colleges for grad school, which allowed me to gain work experience as part of the curriculum.
Okay, all right. So, while sitting for these foreign universities or foreign companies, what are certain qualities or aspects that are expected of us for which we can be more prepared?
That's a good one too. I think you can. You should probably think about, like your basic coursework and be well prepared with it, and developing decent enough communication skills that you have the ability to get your point across. I think that's really important to really work on that aspect of your social aspect as well. And when you're preparing for like universities, you guys know that, I mean, grades are obviously pretty important. So your GPA is pretty standard, but like when you write your SOP, you probably want to convey information in a succinct manner, and it's to the point rather than elaborating for like 2 or 3 pages on different aspects of your life. I think everyone sees these SOPs for about 10 to 15 minutes, if that. So they're just going to skim through it and be to the point, and tell them like, "Hey, I'm doing research, and for so and so reasons at your specific lab, or I want to go ahead and pursue a job right after my grad degree." Being to the point is very important. And when you sit for interviews, just being direct and truthful, I think that really helps. Like just letting people know that these are my skill set, and this is something I can go ahead and gain. And if you try to, circumvent the questions, I think that really doesn't help.
All right. Okay. Got it. So, what were your experiences like interning for Maruti Suzuki? And also, that being your first internship, is there any interesting story or memory that you'd like to share with us about your first time there?
Yeah, Maruti was awesome. That was really cool internship. It was out in the Gurgaon area, and the end of my second year, and at the end of my first year. And I got out there, was living alone for about 3 months, was working in the machine shop, and they would do the body and white welding robots. So basically the spot welding robots on your chassis that are applied throughout the line. And I actually got to like program robots, which was really cool. Like I'd never done industrial robots programming to that point. Like I'd only heard about it. So that was really cool. And then I worked on like setting up one robot on the line for the Maruti Suzuki Swift Desire. I think that's what it was called, second generation. And that really opened my eyes to a systems level thinking of like there are mechanical aspects to what we do, but being able to incorporate, electrical engineering, computing, safety, manufacturing repeatability, like those kinds of different system level thinking things. And that was a really cool experience of like taking a robot from a concept in a lab type environment to actual production and scaling it.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really interesting. So, when we think of Apple, usually software is what comes to our mind. So, how was your experience exploring the mechanical engineering field in a firm like Apple?
I mean, I'm going to content you on that point because like we are a consumer electronics company. So I think I would say that at this point, mechanical engineering is as important. And since I'm
Yeah.
biased, I would say it's a little
Yeah.
more important. But you know, it's pretty something that the company looks out for a lot is like a really strong understanding in fundamentals and first principles,
Mhm.
which are really critical to designing anything. And you know, in my case specifically, I work in the ops field, so manufacturing is a big focus, and then automation. So mechanical engineering is one of the three biggest components of the company, and I would say the biggest at this point.
Mhm. Okay, so having worked in some other companies before joining Apple, do you feel like your job profile and experience in those companies helped you with your journey in Apple, or was it like an entirely different area of work?
Uh, Definitely helped me a lot. The experiences that I've gone through. I think the job that I did before this was as a mechanical engineer at Pure Fishing.
Mhm.
I wasn't familiar that fishing was an actual industry which existed. It was a multi-million-dollar industry, and I was really surprised to know that. And that experience is something I really point to, is which taught me a lot, like
Mhm.
doing a lot of CAD work and designing equipment from scratch instead of just buying it off the shelf, and writing controls for precision motion, incorporating manufacturing repeatability and statistical process control and different things. So, it's like I guess if you want to have an analogy in the computing world, it's like you're doing your full stack kind of thing.
Mhm.
When you're building sort of gain skills in the different levels of the stack, and at this point I might be hitting on the upper side of the stack, but having those lower level skills of like being able to write basic C code to make things move is equally important.
Okay, all right. So, do you feel like your experience in the CSI helped you in the journey of your career?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, CSI was a blast. Just meeting so many different people and having so much fun doing organizing events and actually participating in them was really cool. And I learned a lot from different people. I think embedded systems was again an alien concept to me, which seniors in the group introduced me to, and I was able to work on a couple of projects with them and understand a little bit of it. I'll be honest, I still don't know a lot about embedded systems. Really
Mhm.
fascinated by the area, and just the camaraderie of everyone at CSI. They would support you a lot, and just hanging out, doing different kinds of things, and just exploring yourself. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So, considering that it's difficult to get internships and experience in core engineering, what is one piece of advice that you would give to core students who want to explore such experiences, or like who want to have such experiences?
Uh, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna agree on that one for sure. It's really hard to pick up an internship in your second or third year, especially if you want to do it in the core field. I think making some contacts and talking to different people helped me a lot, like reaching out to different folks on LinkedIn. I think the Maruti internship I got was basically giving an online test and getting through it. So just explore different opportunities. I mean, they're always out there. Uh, if you are interested in the research domain, reach out to professors in different parts of the world and see if you can participate in their lab for the summer. That's always an avenue you can explore. Uh, Apart from that, internships, I would say, even if you don't have an internship, like work on developing some skills. Like you can always go through like different parts of mechatronics, and you will find something and you will build your skill set in it.
All right. So, having interned in India before, did you face any culture shock in the US? Any particular incident that you'd like to share?
A particular incident, I don't know, like from a cultural shock perspective, the one thing I would point out is like having the ability to have different kinds of perspective got really important to me. Like moving from India and working with a lot of people who have similar thought processes and interests, and then getting out to rural North Carolina and working with a technician who has probably not stepped out of the state, or in Northwest Iowa who working with engineers who've never been on a plane. Like where you very different kinds of people, and right now working with people across the globe, where sometimes it's really hard to communicate with them just because of the language barriers. So having different kinds of perspective and developing the ability to get your point across, either through speech or infographically, I think
Mhm.
that's something that's become really important to me. I don't really have any specific event that I can point out to as a cultural shock, but I think one thing I've really learned is the being honest about your skill set and what you can achieve goes a long way in doing well in your professional life.
All right. So, without a doubt, you have a very awe-inspiring career. So, but like no journey is without hardships and difficulties. So, how do you tackle these challenges that you face? Any particular incident about the same that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah. I think just being tenacious in your approach is really important and persevere through different hardships. Just focus on what you have to do and chart a plan and work on achieving your targets. I think maybe a story I can share is when I was in grad school in 2015 looking for internships for my summer. I tore my ACL on my knee in right before, about 2 months before you get out and go to your summer internship. So I think it was April or March timeframe. So I could walk and do everything, but I picked up two different internships at Volvo and a company called T Connectivity, which makes connectors all over the globe. And I decided that I needed to have surgery and get my leg fixed instead of going and picking up an internship experience. So that was a hard time to let go of two different good internships. Uh, After I got my surgery done, I was walking again in about 2.5 weeks. I went ahead and started looking for different internships again, like trying to reach out to different people in the industry to see if I could get a summer internship, which was pretty much everyone was doing summer internships at that point. Uh, my professor had good connections with a company called GKN Driveline, where I ended up doing my co-op for a whole year, which was really cool. But just being tenacious, like just trying to knock on all doors, and I got a chance to interview with GKN for another mechanical engineering co-op position right after the surgery, and I was able to get that gig. So just the only thing I can point out to is you guys need to focus on what your goal is, and then chart a plan, and then work on achieving it.
Okay, so thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Now we'll move on to the Q&A section of the talk, so our viewers can ask questions to our speaker. Our viewers may put up any questions they have for Sir in the chat box. Okay, so we have a question here from one of the viewers. What would be your advice to core engineering undergraduates?
Advice would be think about first principles when you do anything. Like, I mean, we go through a wide variety of complex mechanical engineering coursework through our undergrad. But I think at the core of everything, what we do is classical Newtonian mechanics and simple Maxwell equations, which pretty much are then built up upon. So if you have the generic understanding of the different things you're studying, I think scaling it and having the ability to explain tough concepts in the manufacturing domain specifically become really easy. So my advice here would be focus on your coursework and just understand the basics well. I think that goes a long way.
Okay, so we have a second question from one of the viewers. The second question is, what should an undergraduate student do in order to get the best return from their college experience?
As an undergraduate student, I think the best thing you can do is definitely participate in different kinds of activities. Like on an academic front, I would say work on different kinds of project and try to explore your skill sets in different domains. That's really important. I think, like, from as a mechanical engineer going down the path of electrical and computer science, really important just to explore those avenues. From a social standpoint, talk to different people, participate in events, just put yourself out there, and see what kind of traction you get from different people and where you lie. I think, those probably should be the main things. And then obviously your coursework is really important too.
All right. So another question we have from one of the viewers is, with regards to mechanical engineering, what differences did you notice between India and the US?
That's a tough one. That's interesting. I think when I was going through undergrad, at least, our coursework was heavily focused on a lot of theory. I think that was a big component of it, and trying to do interesting mathematical things by hand for some reason was a big part of it. And I mean, me personally focused a lot of my coursework around IC engines. I think if I'm not wrong, I did 5 different courses which went through just IC engines and the thermodynamics of it and the manufacturing of it. So that is a big difference. Now, when I went out to grad school, did see that there is a very practical component of your coursework, which I found really cool. And I didn't find any courses on IC engines, which was very interesting too. I was like, okay, so this is not the only focus in the world.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions we have from the audience. Thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions today. I'm sure your journey and your work has inspired everyone in the audience today. And I'm certain that all students aspiring for masters or figuring out their careers would have found your talk really helpful. We wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it was a great pleasure to talk to all of our speakers today. And with that, we come to an end to our ACM NITK's Alumni Talks. We hope all of you were really inspired listening to our alumni and their talk helped you in figuring out your next step. Thank you all for joining us today, and that's all. So, bye.